In the Salt Lake City courthouse, the morning sun streams through its tall windows to fall in sharp rays on the polished wooden floor. The aroma of coffee, papers, and the faint smell of antiseptic fills the air. But no smell can suppress the palpable tension in the air. Every beat in the silence seems to pound like a drum, counting down to a storm. Up front, Kody Brown sits stiff at the table, hands folded tightly, knuckles white. His normally composed face has gone pale, eyes darting toward the door every few seconds, as if expecting the whole world to burst in at any second. Today wasn't like any other family feud. Today was a reckoning. Christine Brown walks purposefully to the witness stand, her heels clicking onto the floor sharply. Her posture is perfect, back straight, shoulders squared, but the faint tremble of her hands betrays the storm brewing underneath. She pauses for a moment at the podium, inhaling slowly, as it seems the courtroom collectively holds its breath. "I have kept silent for far too long," Christine begins, the evenness of her tone belying the weight of years of unspoken truth. "Today, the truth will finally be heard." The courtroom shifts uncomfortably. Meri rocks a little in her seat, fidgeting with a folded piece of paper in her hand. Janelle drums her fingers nervously on her knee, while Robyn sits silently, her eyes focused, unreadable, calculating. It's so silent now that the faint whisper of a paper turning seems amplified. Christine lifts a folder and lays it on the stand, opening it to reveal a series of letters, emails, and private notes. The court collectively leans forward, a ripple of anticipation rolling across the benches. "These documents," Christine continues, her voice sharper now, "show promises made in private, but broken in public. They show decisions made that affected every one of us, without our knowledge, without our consent. Today, those choices are exposed." Kody fidgeties in his seat, his hand instinctively twisting on his wedding band. He opens his mouth to interrupt, but the judge's gavel comes down sharply. "Silence, Mr. Brown. The witness will speak." It is then that Janelle's testimony follows, after which the mood subtly shifts. Her voice is quieter, more introspective, but every word holds emotional weight. "I trusted him," she says softly, voice trembling. "I gave him loyalty, respect, my heart. And every day I wondered if it was enough. But it wasn't. Not for the truth he kept hidden from us." The turn now comes to Meri. She stands up slowly, her eyes cast down at first, then raised to catch Kody's stare. "I stayed silent for years," she admits with a crack in her voice. "I thought that would keep the family safe. But keeping the family safe does not mean obedience. Keeping the family safe means honesty, and I can no longer stay silent." The courtroom is now tense beyond words. Every detail matters. The judge looks briefly at Kody, whose face shows fear and disbelief. Robyn's lips are pressed tightly together. Her face is unreadable but dangerous in her eyes, disappointment and hurt intertwined. The gallery of spectators leans forward, enthralled with the drama unfolding. Christine takes a deep breath and plunges deeper. She lists private meetings and conversations Kody held with each wife separately, decisions purposed to appear fair but were anything but. She reads aloud from notes she had kept hidden for years, never thought to be read aloud in a courtroom. The letters spell out financial promises, housing arrangements, personal commitments, some broken, others manipulated to suit his own designs. Every single revelation lands like a hammer against stone, the resonating sound through the tense courtroom. Kody leans back, his eyes darting nervously to the judge, then the jury, then Robyn. Each new revelation is a fresh wound, a crack in the carefully constructed facade he has held up for years. His usually calm veneer is cracking, and the audience in the courtroom can feel the vulnerability seeping through. Janelle's voice rises slightly as she recounts her own experiences. Nights spent awake, feeling unseen, unheard, and alone. "I was loyal," she says, her tone quivering but fierce. "I stayed because I believed in family, but belief isn't enough when it is built on lies." Finally, Robyn speaks, the steel of her voice wrapped in velvet. "I stayed for the family. I stayed because I loved. But love cannot survive when honesty is abandoned. Every lie, every hidden truth erodes it piece by piece. Today, those lies must face the light." The turn again comes to Meri, who holds nothing back. "I wanted to believe in him, in the family we built. I wanted to hold on to hope, but hope cannot survive deception. I stayed quiet to avoid conflict, to keep peace, but peace built on lies is not peace at all." The tension in this courtroom escalates. The walls seem to be closing in. Every face is rigid, every eye upon Kody. He fidgets, twisting his wedding band around his finger, as if holding on to it will anchor him against the storm of accusations. His mind races, attempting to formulate a defense, excuses, but the words seem small against an avalanche of evidence being presented. Christine outlines the financial discrepancies, showing how Kody's decisions favored some wives over others, kept some in the dark, and controlled situations behind a curtain of secrecy. Each revelation hits like a thunderclap. The audience can almost feel the air tremble from the impact of these truths. As the session proceeds, the prosecuting attorneys present more documents, letters, and digital communications. Each piece adds to layers of complexity, but also undeniable evidence against Kody. The judge listens intently, occasionally scribbling notes, occasionally raising a brow at particularly damning revelations. The room is electric with suspense. Kody opens his mouth again to finally defend himself. I acted for the family," he stammers, his voice shaking. "Everything I did was for all of you." But the words sound hollow, echoing weakly against the weight of truth presented by the women he promised to protect. The room is silent, but for the faint rustle of papers. Janelle shakes her head, tears glinting in her eyes. "For the family?" she asks in a quiet tone, her voice trembling with sorrow and anger. "How can you say that when you kept us in the dark every step of the way?" Meri wipes her eyes, finally speaking with quiet but cutting clarity. "Actions speak louder than words, Kody. And your actions speak volumes." The morning session draws to a close. The judge bangs the gavel, calling recess, and the family slowly files out of the courtroom, each wrapped in their own thoughts. Kody lingers for a moment, looking at Robyn, who meets his eye with an expression he can't read. In that moment, there is a silent understanding that the next session will determine whether their family can survive this storm or fracture completely. Outside, winter wind whips down the steps of the courthouse, bringing the chill of reality. The family steps into cold light, fragile and raw, shadows stretching long behind them. The secrets that have been kept for years are now in the open, and there is no going back. The courtroom reconvenes after a tense lunchtime. The air feels almost heavy, like the walls are pushing in on the occupants. The sunlight streaming through the high windows does little to lighten the atmosphere. It only highlights the taut lines on each face, the nervous taps of fingers against benches, and the subtle shifting of feet. Everyone knows this session will be the one that cuts to the bone. Christine gets up first and pulls a small, yellowed envelope from her folder. The camera zooms in on her hands, steady, precise, but the knuckles whiten as her fingers clamp down on the edges. "Your Honor," She begins, her voice even, but keen enough to cut through the murmur of the courtroom. Inside this envelope are letters that reveal the truth. Letters Kody never wanted anyone to see. The judge leans forward, eyes narrowing. "Proceed," he says in a voice heavy with anticipation. Christine opens the envelope and begins to read in a deliberate, word-by-word fashion from it. "This letter," she says, holding up a folded sheet of paper, "shows promises made to one wife while dismissing the concerns of another. Promises meant to keep peace, yet hidden from those most affected." Kody sat frozen, staring at the floor as the words echoed around him. His hands fidgeted with the edge of the table. The normally composed patriarch was unraveling, and everyone in the courtroom could feel it. The gallery whispered quietly, the energy electric, as the first revelations of the afternoon hit with devastating force. Another letter from the envelope tells damning implications about financial decisions. Christine's voice rises slightly, not out of emotion, but sheer clarity. This was not merely oversight or forgetfulness. These decisions were intentional, designed to favor some while sidelining others. She looks directly at Kody, eyes unwavering. "You may have thought these were private choices, but private choices have consequences." Pause. Robyn leans forward, the muscles in her jaw tense. The reserved calmness of her face is taut with feeling. She doesn't speak yet, but the camera captures the slight twitch of her hand, the almost imperceptible clenching of fingers, as if holding back words that might erupt into the air at any second. Meri stands next. Her voice is soft, almost fragile, but with a quiet intensity in every word. "I kept silent to protect the family. I believed that enduring the pain quietly was a form of loyalty. But loyalty can't exist without honesty. Every lie adds weight, and the weight has become unbearable." Pause. The courtroom shifts. Murmurs rise briefly, then die down as the weight of her confession settles in. Kody's face has gone white, his jaw tight, his eyes darting between the letters in Christine's hands and the faces of the women he's hurt. The patriarch who commanded respect now appears cornered, shrinking under the collective scrutiny of those he underestimated. The moment belongs to Janelle now. She rises, her voice shaking at first, finding its strength as she speaks. "I stayed loyal, believing that love could withstand deception," she says, her eyes brimming with tears. "But love cannot survive when secrets govern every decision. I trusted, I followed, and yet I was left in the dark." Her words are not mere accusations, but revelations of a life spent questioning every word, every action from Kody, wondering if the family she built her life around was ever real. The courtroom listens, riveted, the tension thick enough to taste. Kody finally tries to speak, fumbling for words. I did what I thought was best," he mutters, voice wavering. "Everything I did was for all of you." Christine cuts him off, her eyes ablaze. "For all of us?" she repeats, voice rising just enough to echo across the gallery. "For all of us, while we suffered in silence. Your decisions were never about us. They were about control, about appearances, about keeping us obedient and blind to the truth." A hush falls over the room as the prosecution calls for the next item of evidence. A digital recording from a private conversation. The camera captures Kody's subtle reaction, a flicker of fear crossing his face. The recording is handed to the court technician, who plugs it into the speaker system. The first few words echo, Kody's voice unmistakable, but twisted in a context he never anticipated. Words show not only the manipulation, but also conversations that contradict his previous testimonies. The courtroom gasps en masse. Even the judge leans slightly forward, his eyebrows cocked. Robyn's eyes widen slightly, her hand clenching on the edge of her seat. Meri shuts her eyes for a moment. She lets out a sharp exhale. Christine wears an expression of cold resolve, satisfaction barely peeking from behind her tranquil mask. Janelle covers her mouth with her hand, trying to hold back some sort of reaction and failing. The recording continues, exposing promises made, explanations given in secrecy, and manipulations meant to pit the wives against one another. Kody's usual composure crumbles. He leans back in his chair, shoulders slumping, fingers digging into the tabletop. Christine seizes the moment. This recording proves that the choices made were deliberate, repeated, and calculated. You may have called it protection, Kody, but protection cannot exist without transparency. You failed us. Meri nods slightly, adding in a soft voice, and silence cannot protect. It only conceals. And today, everything is laid bare. The tension in the court is now almost unbearable. Every face tells a story. Shock, anger, betrayal, disbelief. The gallery is silent, every ear strained with each word, every heart pounding with the suspense that seems almost unbearable. Janelle speaks again, voice steadier now, cutting through the tension like a blade. We trusted the man who promised to care for all of us equally. But trust without honesty is not trust at all. It is illusion. And today, illusions fall. Kody opens his mouth again, stammering, searching for words that can salvage some semblance of control. But the letters, the emails, the recording, all of it, forms a wall he cannot climb. His eyes meet Robyn's for a fleeting moment. The silent exchange is loaded with meaning, anger, disappointment, and a question neither dares speak aloud. As the afternoon wears on, each witness delivers additional details, text messages, hidden conversations, financial records. Each piece fits like a puzzle, exposing a family fractured by secrecy and manipulation. Kody's attempts to defend himself grow weaker with every revelation. The patriarch, who once held the reins of authority, is now unraveling in front of the world he tried to control. Finally, the prosecution calls a surprise witness, somebody from outside of the family, with knowledge of long-hidden agreements and private meetings. The courtroom instinctively leans forward. The tension in the room spikes. The stranger's testimony is calm, facts only, but the content is explosive. Kody shifts in his seat, his eyes narrowing. Panic barely restrained behind his composed facade. The witness details a private conversation in which Kody made promises to one wife while dismissing the concerns of another. A conversation that was supposed to remain secret, now used as evidence. The courtroom gasps, a stifled gasp, whispered disbelief, the palpable weight of their shock. Kody's hands clench into fists, nails digging into his palms. His typical confidence is gone, replaced by fear and uncertainty. Christine leans forward, her voice icy. Kody, the truth does not bend to convenience. Every lie, every hidden conversation has consequences. Today, you face those consequences. Meri, Janelle, and Robyn sit in silence, letting the words settle like dust in a storm. Outside, wind howls against the courthouse walls. Inside, it's as though it too is echoing the chaos. The courtroom feels like it is teetering on the edge of eruption. The courtroom reconvenes, the air electric, heavy with anticipation. The gallery is silent, as if everyone inside knows they are about to witness a turning point. Kody Brown sits at the defense table, hands clenched, jaw tight, eyes darting between the judge and the faces of his wives. The morning session's revelations have left him visibly shaken, but nothing has prepared him for what is coming now. Christine stands again, this time with a more aggressive presence. Her calm exterior masks a barely contained fury. Your Honor, there is more evidence that has come to light, conversations, promises, and meetings that Kody attempted to hide. She places a folder onto the podium, opening it with deliberation. Every document she exposes seems to heighten the tension like a chain reaction. With that, she begins to read aloud from the first document, a private conversation that exposes manipulation designed to pit wives against one another. The words are unmistakable, and the intent undeniable. Kody's eyes widen slightly, but he says nothing. If anything, he appears almost frozen. Meri rises next. Her voice is quiet, soft, almost fragile, but it carries the weight of long-held secrets. I stayed silent for years, she says, voice trembling slightly. I thought it would protect the family. I thought enduring the pain quietly was a form of loyalty. But loyalty cannot survive deceit. Every lie, every hidden truth, erodes the very foundation we built. The courtroom seems to be holding its collective breath. Kody leans back slightly, hands twisting his wedding ring. His composure is cracking. Robyn watches him with quiet intensity, her face an unreadable mask, but her eyes flash with anger and disappointment. Christine's gaze is cold, calculating, a storm contained behind the walls of control. Family completely. Janelle stands forward, clasping the edges of the witness stand. Her eyes well up with tears as she talks about nights filled with aloneness, lack of being taken seriously, and being ignored. I believed in this family, she says, her voice cracking, but belief cannot survive when the truth is hidden. I stayed loyal, but loyalty cannot thrive in silence. Kody tries to respond, his mouth opening to say something, but the judge raises a sharp hand, silencing him. The weight of these testimonies is beginning to bear down with a tangible force. The gallery murmurs softly, tension high enough to almost feel suffocating. Christine continues, going further and further into the more incriminating evidence. Letters exchanged between Kody and outside advisors regarding family finances, promises of housing arrangements, and private conversations designed to manipulate outcomes in his favor. The words paint a picture of deception so thorough that even the audience can feel the shock ripple through the courtroom. The letter is read aloud. It shows an effort to favor one wife while sidelining another. Secret promises that go against the fairness Kody has publicly vowed to uphold. Kody's face tightens, his jaw clenches, lips pressed into a thin line. Robyn leans slightly forward, narrowing her eyes, as if finally sensing the manipulation that has gone on for years. Meri grips the podium, hands shaking, as the weight of truth bears down on them all. As the session wears on, a surprise witness is called, a person outside the family, who testifies to first-hand knowledge of long-concealed meetings and private agreements. The courtroom shifts instinctively, knowing this could be the weight of testimony that buries Kody. Kody pales as he realizes the walls he felt were secure around him are crumbling. The stranger's voice is calm but unyielding, as it relates conversations in which Kody made promises to one wife while deliberately dismissing another's concerns. Every word falls like a hammer blow, reverberating through the silent room. Christine hardens her expression as she listens, a flicker of vindication in her eyes. Robyn finally begins to speak, tall and strong, her voice quivering with controlled anger. I believed in this family. I stayed loyal. I stayed committed. But love cannot survive when lies rule every decision. Every manipulation has consequences, and today, Those consequences are coming to light. Meri steps forward again, her voice soft but firm. I wanted to protect everyone, but silence isn't protection. Silence is betrayal. And today, the truth is louder than our fear. Janelle joins in the chorus, tears still in her eyes. We stayed because we believed. But belief cannot survive secrecy. I trusted, I followed, and now I see the cost of that trust. Kody fidgets, trying to regain control of the situation. I did what I thought was best, he stammers. Everything I did was for the family. Christine's response is incisive. For the family. While we suffered in silence, while promises were broken and secrets kept, protection does not require deception, Kody. Your actions were deliberate, and now the truth cannot be ignored. The judge then orders the playing of the next piece of evidence, a digital recording, recorded during a private family meeting. Kody tightens his muscles, his eyes slightly widen. The recording is played, undeniably his voice, but what was said is manipulative, full of contradictions, and surreptitious. Every word exposes actions that deny the loyalty and fairness he says he has maintained. The gallery gasps in shock. Robyn clenches her fists. Meri grips the stand for support, and Janelle's mouth falls open slightly. Christine's eyes flash with a cold triumph as the recording continues to play, showing precisely how Kody tried to control outcomes behind closed doors. Kody tries to defend himself, voice trembling. I only wanted to keep peace. Robyn's voice cuts through sharply. Peace built on lies is not peace at all. Every choice, every secret has consequences. Today, those consequences are undeniable. Meri nods silently, and the silence no longer protects anyone. It only conceals the truth, until it becomes explosive. The courtroom is electric. Every witness, every shred of evidence, layered upon the last. Builds tension that is almost too much to bear. Kody's once unquestioned authority is slipping away with each revelation. Finally, the stranger witness drops a bombshell. A hidden meeting Kody had with an advisor, where strategies were discussed to manipulate decisions, maintain control, and obscure facts from the other wives. The courtroom is in shock. Kody's face turns pale. The weight of exposure is now undeniable. Christine leans forward, her eyes cold. Kody, how do you justify your actions now, knowing the consequences for those who trusted you completely? Kody opens his mouth to say something, but then stops. Words fail him as he realizes there is no defense strong enough to counter the combined weight of testimonies, letters, and recordings. Every second feels like an eternity in the pressure cooker that the courtroom has become. The session ends with a dramatic pause. The judge bangs the gavel, calling for recess. The family exits the courtroom in slow motion, each step weighted with the emotional toll of the day. Kody looks over at Robyn, his eyes searching hers for support or forgiveness, finding neither. Outside, wind whips across the front steps of the courthouse, sharp and cold, mirroring the storm of truth that has erupted inside. The courtroom reconvenes, after a brief recess, the tension palpable, almost suffocating. Every person in the room seems to feel the weight of what's about to unfold. Kody Brown sits at the defense table, shoulders rigid, hands clasped onto the edge of the polished wood. His eyes dart towards each wife in search of a trace of forgiveness or understanding, but find only anticipation, anger, and betrayal. Christine gets up, walks precisely, and has a small envelope in her hand. Your Honor, she begins, voice calm but sharp. There is one final piece of evidence that must be presented. It will clarify years of deception, hidden decisions, and secret promises. The judge nods and motions for her to continue. The entire courtroom seems to hold its collective breath. Every eye is glued to this piece of unfolding drama. Kody's face, normally controlled, tightens, a flicker of panic crossing his features. He knows, in his gut, that what Christine is about to reveal will change everything. She carefully opens the envelope, pulling out a recording device. This recording, Christine continues, captures a conversation that exposes not only hidden agreements, but intentions that were never meant to be revealed. It's time for the truth to speak for itself. He plays the recording. Kody's voice fills the room, but the words are twisted in ways he never imagined. The conversation reveals manipulations, broken promises, and deliberate attempts to pit wives against one another. The courtroom reacts immediately. Gasps, whispered exclamations, and a silence so heavy it presses down like a physical weight. Robyn leans forward slightly, fists clenching. Her face is tense, jaw tight, eyes glistening with restrained emotion. "I stayed for the family," she finally says, voice rising. "I stayed loyal. I believed. But loyalty cannot survive deception." Every lie, every manipulation, has consequences. And today, those consequences are clear. Meri steps forward, voice soft yet firm, hands grasping the podium. "I wanted to protect everyone," she says, her voice trembling a little. "But one thing I've learned is that silence is not protection. Silence is betrayal. And now, the truth has come crashing down on all of us." The courtroom is electric with tension. Every revelation, every word recorded, lands like a hammer stroke. The gallery leans forward, enthralled, as Kody's composure begins to crumble. He fidgets, twisting his wedding band, swallowing hard as he contemplates the implication of the evidence laid bare. Janelle rises, voice trembling as she testifies to emotional wounds inflicted by years of decisions made in hiding. "I stayed silent," she says, tears glinting in her eyes, "because I believed in this family. But belief is not enough when the truth is hidden. I stayed loyal, but loyalty cannot survive deception." The judge, impassive, leans forward, scribbling notes, his eyes weighted with every word. Kody opens his mouth to speak, but falters, unable to find the words that could repair the damage. His attempts at self-defense sound hollow against the unrelenting tide of evidence and testimony. Christine steps closer to the witness stand and locks eyes with Kody. "You thought these secrets would never see the light of day," she said, her voice rising in intensity. "But secrets cannot protect you forever. Every choice that you made, every lie you told, now see the light. And now, those consequences are inevitable." The tension in the courtroom reaches a boiling point as the prosecution goes on to reveal the next piece of evidence. A trail of emails and text messages Kody sent privately to each wife. The content contradicts previous statements, showing selective transparency and hidden manipulation. Kody's face tightens, his eyes flicking rapidly between the documents and the women. Robyn's expression hardens. She leans into him, her voice trembling with emotion. "Do you understand, Kody? Every choice, every secret has consequences. Every word you spoke behind closed doors betrayed the very people who trusted you the most." Meri swallows hard, nodding slightly. "We stayed for the family, we endured, we sacrificed, we believed. But believing cannot survive deceit." Janelle wipes her tears, but does not sit. "We loved you," she says, voice shaking. "We followed you. And yet, The foundation we built together has been shattered by the very lies we were asked to ignore. The judge signals for a recess as murmurs ripple through the gallery. Kody leans back, attempting to regain composure, but the damage is done. He knows, deep down, that his carefully maintained authority is crumbling. Christine's eyes follow him, cold and determined. Robyn's gaze is unwavering, filled with disappointment and resolve. Meri's hands tremble slightly on the podium, reflecting the emotional weight she has carried for years. Following the break, the session resumes with the surprise testimony of an external witness, someone who was close to Kody during private family meetings. Their voice is calm but firm, relating strategies Kody used to control the family dynamic, manage perceptions, and obscure truths. Each word strikes home, like a blow to Kody's credibility. Christine leans forward, her voice concise and sharp as a razor. Kody, your words may have sounded like protection, but your actions were deception. Control is not care. Manipulation is not love. Today, the truth is undeniable. The courtroom falls silent, but for the faint scratching of notes and the soft intake of breath. Kody's face has gone white, his jaw clenched, his eyes darting as he struggles to respond. For the first time, he seems uncertain, vulnerable, almost lost. Robyn steps forward, her voice steady now, a controlled fury behind each word. We stayed loyal, we endured, we trusted, and with every choice you made, every secret you kept, you undermined us. Loyalty can't survive lies. Meri nods quietly and adds softly, and silence cannot protect anyone. It only conceals, and today, everything is revealed. Janelle, trembling, holds onto the podium for support as she says, "We stayed because we believed. But belief cannot survive secrecy. Trust can't live in a veil of deception. And now, the truth can no longer be denied." The judge nods for the recording to continue. This time, it is a conversation where Kody discusses personal matters in a way that exposes emotional manipulation, favoritism, and intentional deception. The courtroom gasps with the revelations. Kody's face whitens further, his mask of control finally shattered. Christine's voice rises, cold and unwavering. This recording proves what we've said all along. Your decisions were deliberate. Your manipulation calculated. Your control absolute. But today, Kody, the truth stands against you. Robyn adds, her voice trembling with intensity. We stayed because we believed in family. But family cannot exist under the weight of lies. Every choice, every secret has consequences. And today, we face them. Meri steps forward, quiet but firm. We endured, we sacrificed, we hoped. But hope cannot survive betrayal. Silence cannot protect love. And today, everything is exposed. The courtroom is practically quivering with anticipation. Every witness, every document, every recording, layered upon the last, mounts an undeniable weight of truth. Kody's attempts to defend himself grow weaker by the minute. The session ends in dramatic fashion. The judge pounds the gavel, signaling the end of testimony for the day. The family files out, each step heavy with emotion. Kody looks at Robyn for a glimmer of forgiveness, but her eyes are set cold and unyielding. Christine walks by him without a glance, and Meri's hands quiver slightly as she exits. Outside, the wind howls against the courthouse, a mirror for the chaos that has erupted inside. This storm has not passed. It has just magnified.